To fit the planing disc on, you need to lift the guard off again. You have your saw up in the vertical position. Undo the lock nuts. Lift the blade off. Clean any dust off of there. Being very careful with this because all these little tungsten inserts are very sharp, and there's no worries about cutting yourself. You can do it very easily. Again, make sure they're tight, but remember, you have to take them off. The lock nuts up. At all times being very careful not to cut yourself. Once you've done that, the only other thing that you need to do is when this machine's set up and you're cutting timber, the saw blade is slightly tilted like that. It's slightly leaning down into the cut, and the reason that's doing that is so that the back of the saw over here is not dragging on the cut that you're making. Now when you start planing, what you actually want is that planer to be dead flat rather than slightly tilted like that. Otherwise you're going to end up with a step similar to this all the way across the piece that you're planing. So to get rid of that step, what you do is you come over to this blade adjustment number 2, undo the lock nut, and if you wind that bolt in, what that does is that pushes this swing frame away and effectively pulls it up straight again. So what we're going to do here is we're going to turn it half a turn. That's all we need to do, is half a turn. And I count there's 6 sides to a nut, so I count 3 sides. So it's 1, 2, 3. Should be plenty. Do that lock nut up again, and now all you have to do is remember that when you swap back over to the saw blade, that you undo that back out the other way half a turn. When you've got a few slabs to dress up, the easiest way to do it is do exactly what we've done here. Put a log in, take the top off of the log until you've got a nice flat surface. Stop, swap the saw blade over and put the planing disc on. When you've done that, you can put your slabs on. This one here, we've already dressed it up once, but I want it a little bit thinner than this. It's a little bit thick for the actual purpose I've got in mind for it. So we'll take a little more off him. Because it's such a small slab, it's not a very big heavy piece of wood this, it's quite light. I like to fix it in place so it can't go anywhere. If it was a bigger, heavier slab, let's say it was the same size but 2 inches thick, the sheer weight of the slab is enough to hold it in place. But when they get a little bit light like this, I just simply put a couple of Tek screws down into the surface of the log. Make sure they're lower than the slab. Put one at the front here as well. Number one over here. Now the planing disc, when you start using the planing disc, you'll quickly realise that the beauty of the planing disc is not the nice clean finish that it's going to give you. What you're looking for is that level slab. You know, when you cut a slab, you allow time, over time that slab's going to dry out, and as it dries out it's going to buckle and warp. Then you need to somehow level them out again. This planing disc makes it very easy to level out. It will give you a nice finish, but it's not what I'd call a finished product. You still need to be able to sand it up. So we'll run the disc over him, we'll do a few cuts, clean him up, get him nice and level again, and then I'll put a sander on afterwards. Once you've got everything set up and ready to go, you've got your slab so it's not going to move around, you've got your planing disc bolted on and everything's good to go, The only other thing you now need to do is lift it up, whatever the thickness of the slab is. And just looking at that one there, I'd say it's about 28 mil, inch and an eighth or something like that. So we come back over to the ruler now, and we'll set it on 28 millimeters, wind up, do the same up the other end, set him on that 28 mil. The planing disc is quite large, but don't think that you should be taking big chunks out. Ideally, all you want to be taking out in any one pass is about 50 millimeters. Just go down, come straight back up, move it across. Don't try and cut again on the way back. Just come straight back up the cut you've made, move it across, go down, and just keep working your way across. And you'll find it'll very quickly clean the whole slab up for you. Alright, that's the underneath side done now. Got a nice clean little finish on it. We just flip it over now and we dress up the top side. And that just goes back to there. I'm just going to have to reposition some of those Tech screws. The reason I'm doing this is not for the planing, it's for when we put the sander on. Just put a little bit of water on here and it'll show you. So that's all nice and level now. You just sand her up.